Were we all wrong about Liverpool being incredibly dominant in every game they played until the end of 2024?
Performance I've seen this season in England, maybe even in Europe. And I know Tottenham have injuries and defensive problems, blah blah blah.
Or we just overrated them, thinking they would go on to win everything this season.
You could see Liverpool was starting to be scared.
Yes, nobody would take the Premier League away from Liverpool, I'm sure of that, but their decline since 2025 should indeed be studied. And that's what we're going to do today. What exactly went wrong for Liverpool after their impressive form in the first 5 to 6 months of Arne Slot's reign at Anfield? First things first, many of you are probably surprised that we're saying Liverpool's crisis started in early 2025. But are we really going to pretend that the draw with Man United and the defeat to PSV Eindhoven, or the draws with Everton and Aston Villa, didn't happen? Realistically, only the Birmingham game can be taken out of the equation, as Liverpool actually played well in that game, but a huge miss from Darwin Núñez cost the Reds. But that's not all, because the list goes on. Even in matches where Liverpool somehow managed to get the 3 points, such as the games against Brentford, Wolves and Southampton, all bottom of the table, and 2 of them in the relegation zone, the cracks in Liverpool's overall game were evident. For example, against Wolves in mid-February, the Reds didn't have a single shot on target in the second half, which really came to show us that a crisis was maybe awakening.
But I worry a little bit for Liverpool.
Or what about that tough win away at Brentford? In contrast to the subsequent game against Aston Villa, this time Darwin managed to secure the 3 points for the Merseyside, coming off the bench to score 2 stoppage time goals. Yes, Brentford manager Thomas Frank praised them as the best team in the world. But this was indeed one of the first very clear signs of a decline in Liverpool's performance. So, as we recap the highlights of their 2025, let's turn the clocks back to the start of Arne Slot's reign and talk about their solid all-round performances up until the very last game of 2024, the 5-0 away defeat at West Ham. Under the new leadership of a classic Dutch coach, Arne Slot, who stepped into the role seamlessly following the departure of Jurgen Klopp, the team showed resilience and tactical adaptability. The former Feyenoord man introduced a dynamic possession-based style that complemented Liverpool's aggressive philosophy left behind by Klopp. The big difference Slot brought was a fresh tactical approach that made the team more versatile and creative. Klopp's system always had worked extremely well for Liverpool, with the German going down as one of the most successful managers in the club's history. But over the last 2 seasons, it had become clear that something was just not clicking. The team needed a breath of fresh air, and that's exactly what Slot brought to an already functioning Liverpool side. At the heart of Liverpool's triumphs was the extraordinary performance of Mohamed Salah. The Egyptian king broke numerous records, including becoming the first player in Premier League history to score and provide assists in 37 separate games, surpassing Wayne Rooney's tally. Salah also became Liverpool's 3rd highest ever goalscorer with 243 goals. Their attacking prowess has been further highlighted by the contributions of Luis Diaz and Cody Gakpo, who have each scored at least 17 goals in all competitions since the start of the season. Darwin Núñez and Diogo Jota have also made significant contributions, with 7 and 12 goals respectively. And, well, all that, along with an excellent midfield of the creative Curtis Jones, Alexis Mac Allister, and Dominic Szoboszlai, and the resurgent of Ryan Gravenberch, and a solid defense that kept 7 clean sheets in their first 12 Premier League games, made Arne Slot's side the talk of the town. There was no better team in Europe in the first half season than Liverpool, and the results showed it. Between their opening day win over Ipswich and their EFL Cup semi-final defeat at the hands of Tottenham, Liverpool went on a run of 28 games with just 1 defeat. Not only that, but they beat some of Europe's heavyweights in the process, including Real Madrid, Manchester City, Bayer Leverkusen, AC Milan and Chelsea. They have been so good that everyone had them as favourites to win everything there is to win in the season. For example, after the massive victory over Madrid in November, Rio Ferdinand compared Liverpool in a pretty interesting way, stating that they look like Rottweilers hunting teams down and are undoubtedly the best team in Europe. Or Paul Merson.
It's just a matter, it's how many points. How many points from now on? They just got to stay concentrated, just got to keep on performing. They've been absolutely outstanding. You know, it will be being so professional because you've got the Champions League now in between, you know, 2 big games against PSG. They just got to, as long as they tick along, they'll be all right. They can afford 3 or 4 slip-ups and they'll be all right. But yeah, they won't want that to happen. They'll want to keep on doing what they do. And yeah, they've been outstanding. I think, you know, the Man City game won that comfortably in my opinion, and then Newcastle as well.
Who said that he just can't talk highly enough of them. So yes, Liverpool have been by far the most talked about team in Europe in the first half season. And while they deserved it, everyone seemed to jump to conclusions. And let me just give you an example. Barcelona were also praised after their wins over Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. And then we all saw what happened as they just won 1 of 7 league games between November and December. Yes, they are on the rise again now, but my thought was that we should all calm down and stay humble when our favourite team is performing well, and allow the players and managers to work piece by piece and work their magic. Because right now, we can safely say that Liverpool's season is more or less over. The Reds should just play their remaining 10 games in the league, nothing more. They've been knocked out of the Champions League by PSG, and they also lost the League Cup final by Newcastle. Of course, if at the start of the season, someone had told us that Liverpool would win the Premier League and the fans would still be a little disappointed, we'd have laughed in their face. But in retrospect, it really does feel like that. Maybe because of the thoughts of what might have been, the potential that this Liverpool team has, and so on. By the way, before we move on to the realistic factors of Liverpool's crisis, here's a reminder for you to subscribe to the channel so you never miss anything from us. So, when we said the potential of this Liverpool side a moment ago, what we mean is that we could be witnessing a huge rebuild this summer. Trent Alexander-Arnold looks set to leave for Madrid at the end of the season. Van Dijk and Salah are out of contract, and there is no clear update on either of them. So, is this really the final season of the legendary Jurgen Klopp side of the late 2010s and early 2020s that won the Champions League and Premier League in successive seasons? Jorginho Wijnaldum left in 2021, Sadio Mane then left in 2022. Roberto Firmino, Fabinho and Jordan Henderson also headed for the exit in 2023, while Joel Matip retired just a few months ago. To put it simply, there's only 5 players left from the iconic Champions League triumph over Tottenham in 2019. Trent, Van Dijk, Salah, Robertson and Alisson. The Englishman is already on his way out, while the centre-half and the winger have also been linked with a move away. In fact, the whole situation could leave Liverpool with just Robertson and Alisson in Jurgen Klopp's prime year in charge on Merseyside. So, why am I telling you all this, you may ask? Well, you can't expect to play at such a high level for 9 months straight when you have so many internal issues to resolve. And, as you can see, those problems become more serious as time goes on. The more time passes, the more speculation grows, and the more it affects the team's performance on the pitch. A couple of months ago, manager Arne Slot touched on that hot topic, stating that the contract nightmare won't have an effect on the squad's performance. But a few weeks on, can we really confirm that? Yes, Liverpool are still title favourites, but the potential of what could have been still haunts the fans, especially after they felt unbeatable somewhere around November and December, when they were beating the big European giants and scoring goals for fun. So, the conclusion is that the contract drama with Van Dijk, and especially Salah and Trent, was not only reason number 1 for Liverpool's downfall, it was the storyline of their whole season. Or at least, that's how The Athletic and the whole media space have been putting it. And to finish it all off with some rumours that will probably bring the tension down when it comes to Van Dijk and Salah's contract situations. According to some reports, the club have already reached verbal agreement with the Dutchman and the Egyptian, but the news hasn't been made public lest Trent look like the biggest villain in this situation. Yes, as much as you may not believe it, but Liverpool respect his decision to join Real Madrid and want to part ways on a positive note. Now, it's time for you to say, with Liverpool on the brink of a historic Premier League title, would you forgive them for dropping out of the FA Cup and Champions League and losing the League Cup final to Newcastle? Let us know in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed that one, please consider subscribing to the channel or check out our latest upload on Barca's chances of a historic third European treble. If you're a passionate Barcelona fan, you wouldn't want to miss it. Catch you there.